soon. You know, some reporting online suggests that 343 Industries is only going to focus on the multiplayer aspect of Halo going forward. There'll be no story DLC, which is shocking to me. Like, Halo, the best part of Halo in my eyes is the story. But yeah, so it's really, really not looking good for Halo and 343 Industries. But on the bright side, I guess, is that maybe they're going to move the Halo IP to around, so it won't just be 343 making Halo stuff anymore. They could move it to Certain Affinity or other studios under the Xbox umbrella to make their own Halo games. That would be nice. Because really, 343 alone, I don't think can handle it anymore. They just can't. And they fumbled this quite badly. But,
yeah, we saw some inside remarks from people that work there, which we can't share publicly, but it's ugly. A lot of blaming of management, which shouldn't be a surprise. You know, Microsoft, for all the cool stuff they do, still has a old school sort of corporate managerial stuff where you find this almost in any major corporation, I think, but Microsoft's been, you know, guilty of this for a very long time, where they kind of work against each other's divisions, and, you know, you have people in there that's been there for 30 years, and they're just more concerned about, you know, keeping their jobs and their revenue coming in.
Not a problem.
Not necessarily, you know, when it comes to gaming, you can't just have corporate stooges there, right? Gaming's a passion. Gaming is art.
Let's go.
It's fundamentally an art project that is done by really passionate people on the lower levels who created
Blue
stuff.
team has scored.
You have to have a storyteller and all that. As soon as you get the bean counters in there, it needs to be, right? Because costs can absolutely run out of control for games. You have to, just like making a movie. So as soon as you get people in charge who aren't invested as much into the whole thing, like you start to lose your track, and I think that's kind of what happened here. It's a real shame, you know. Like, I never got into it, and when it started, you know, I remember when I started getting into Microsoft, it was around stuff like that, but it was pretty late in the series as it was. But when I kind of started getting interested, it was right when it started moonshotting as an IP, and that's kind of a shame. And what makes it more damaging is the fact that they moved years ago, the Bungie team, and what's Bungie doing? Destiny 2. And remember when Destiny came out, it was like, oh, you know, it's alright, whatever, You know, it gets repetitive. I was playing Destiny, like, Destiny's awesome. And then Destiny 2 came out, and I was like, this is pretty great. And I don't play Destiny much anymore because the story is so absurdly complicated. It's really hard to get back into it. But it's because that story is so overtly complicated. It's like World of Warcraft. They just built a myth around this thing that's so rich, and they just keep expanding the story that people keep going back and doing the same thing over and over again. And I love the mechanics of that game. Imagine if Destiny 2 was not right? Technically, at one point it could have been, but it isn't. And now they got Halo. Halo's a dead property. You and I have questions, you know, people going, oh, is Cortana going to come back as an AI thing? Like, why would it? They killed it with the Windows Phone thing and trying to bring it to PC and Xbox, so the brand is kind of dead there. And it's even now more dead because Halo as a brand and IP is kind of dead. So it's like, no, they shouldn't ever, never mention Cortana, unfortunately, again. But they're just saying, but this is what kind of happens.
Cover me!
Halo moving to other studios is a rumor. That's
Excellent
not
work.
announced by anyone official. It's just the rumor is that they will be able to move it. They're planning to move Halo to other studios and multiple developers Halo games, not just 343. Just also did want to mention, I guess there's a bit of a silver lining to these layoffs. Is that the people who are being laid off a comfortable severance package. I think they have 60 days to find control. Microsoft, although I think they've said they were hiring, and if you are being laid off, you may be a good fit for another role at the company.
No mercy! Reloading!
Nice shot! At Microsoft, they
Cover me!
will have 60 days to find a job elsewhere to get it.
And yeah, the 60 days notice and all that. Yeah, they're really maximizing the, hey, if we're going to lay you off or give you the max. So at least that's good, but still.
Yeah, but that's the layoff news. Hopefully that's the last layoff news.
It won't.
I can be hopeful,
telling you.
Surely.
It's going to get worse. You're going to hear, you know, I don't think it's going to affect the national economy. Like I said from the out, you know, the beginning of the podcast, that the economy in terms of jobs is still doing actually quite well, and it's predicted it will, and that's what's kind of confounding a lot of economists, because typically when you start to go into a recession, you get, especially coming out of inflation, you start to have like people can't afford things, and people lose jobs, demand goes down, but we're having kind of a really weird kind of economy here. Luckily, they're predicting, the latest I heard was a mild recession, which is still not great, but better than a severe recession or a long-lasting one. So hopefully this won't be bad. It is a temporary thing, we should point out, like all things. You know, this won't be like 2008 or, you know, when the dot-com bubble burst. I think technology is just way too important. And I think the economy, once it rights itself, you're going to start to see investment again in all the space, and it's going to come back, and they'll start hiring again. But I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. The Ukraine mess, which is not going anywhere, and in fact, maybe getting even worse. So, you know, that's causing a lot of panic amongst people. And yeah, I don't know. I think 2023 is going to be rough. I think it's going to be rough for media and our jobs. I think it's going to be rough for tech companies. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another round of layoffs later in the year. But, you know, hope for the best, you know, and see what happens there. So,
in that case, I hope 2024 is better.
We all do. Hopefully it will, but yeah, 2023 is going to be interesting. Yeah, I mean, even like, you know, PCs and laptops have nosedive, which shouldn't be surprising, right? I mean, once the pandemic was kind of over and everybody got saturated, everybody's got a PC now. We talked about that last time. Like, it's not like you're going to go out and buy a new laptop every year. So it's still higher than it was pre-pandemic, but unfortunately we're going to see a contraction there as well. The good news is enterprise is still heavily reliant on these technologies, and we're starting to see, you know, still a lot of innovation there. We just talked about Lenovo last week, for instance, who had some really remarkable announcements, but we'll talk a little bit more about some of that stuff later on in the podcast as well. All right, let's move to Windows 12 and AI. What's this all about, Zach? So AI has been, of course, in the news with OpenAI. I did a story this week, which I'll just throw out there. It's kind of interesting, called The Human Cost Behind ChatGPT is Worse Than You Think. And it was a story, actually, investigative report done by Time. And, you know, basically shows that to make ChatGPT safe, that is when you go on there and type stuff, so it doesn't spew back racist things or homophobic things or just really